Hey guys, what's up? Let's talk about an important and often overlooked step for the first-time plomo builder. That's panel lining. Not only will it add dimension to your kits, it's going to make your kits look a lot cooler. Now, as of late, I've been starting to prefer pins over the liquid, simply because it's easier for me and probably for most people. Not much thought really has to be used with these. Just rub them into the panel line, wipe it away with something. Usually an eraser or a Q-tip will work. That's usually the best option. It's just so easy and quick. I like to often panel line my kits when I'm watching TV. And since these don't require my constant attention, as well as coming in a lot of different colors like black and brown and gray, and they're relatively cheap too. I mean, you can get these at most hobby shops for a couple bucks, and they'll usually have them with the Gunbla and Plomo displays. I mean, they're going to be dirt cheap. They'll run you probably like $2 to $3 a pin. Now, of course, the other option always is Tamiya panel line accent color. It's going to be the messier and smellier option, but it also comes in a lot of colors. There's a little brush built into the cap of the panel liner. This works pretty simple, to be honest. You just tap it into the panel line and it should fill in the areas by itself with capillary action. The advantage to this is simple, really. It can flow a lot better and fill in large areas more. But the stuff's going to stink a lot more than a marker will. There's a lot more of a learning curve to it too. I mean, it can stain your plastic, and that's a pain to just take care of if you're going to straight build, especially considering the fact that if you're going to straight build, a lot of times that's going to crack the bare plastic. Now, here I want to do a side-by-side comparison between the markers and the liquid. Now, generally, the marker is going to be faster, a little bit easier to control, but the panel liner is going to work more for shallow panel lines. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to, of course, use black for this because it's going to be the most consistent and you can see it a little better. The marker is going to be faster and a little bit easier to control. An example of this is in these little grates right here. We're just going to go ahead and just panel line these real quick using the marker. Super quick option. We can clean this up super easy too. Now, the liquid's going to be a little bit faster. Give it a quick shake. All right. And what I'm going to show you is about right here, right there. And as you can see, that's going to look better just directly anyway. I mean, there's going to be less cleanup than there is with this, but this is so much easier. Like I said, if you do a lot of the high grades and you like to panel line while you're watching TV or something, this is going to be easier. Now, I'm going to do one arm with a liquid and one arm with a marker, and we'll see just how easy it is to actually remove all of that. Now that we've panel lined our kit, we need to clean up the lines a bit so that we don't have a bunch of messy and uneven lines. Because no matter what form you're going to use this in, there's always going to be uneven lines. I mean, you have spots where you have spillover, you have spots there where it just floods in. That's always going to be uncontrollable. It's going to be a little bit easier to control with a marker, obviously. Now, the easiest way I've found to remove these, other than the old classic white eraser method, is this. It's basically solvent of some sort, I couldn't tell you what, inside of a pen. This stuff works great in my opinion. This is probably the best option to remove any kind of Gundam marker. And it works the same way as the traditional marker does. Just scribble it over the area that you want to remove, and then just wipe away the excess. And it does work really good too. You don't need much. You're not going to need that much really to do this. An example right here. I can just rub it on there. Wipe it away there. I can do the same thing here and here. Now, of course, this kit is going to require a little bit different of a method. I mean, this is an entry grade model. But I mean, this method works pretty good in my opinion. I don't think this person looks bad. Now, onto the marker side. Marker can be a little bit harder to control. A little bit harder to clean up too, given the fact that it's an enamel. You can use an enamel thinner, but again, you're going to run the risk of cracking and breaking your plastic. So, instead of doing that, I have found out that this stuff works just as well too. You could, of course, always use lighter fluid. I don't recommend lighter fluid. I wouldn't touch the stuff personally. I think it's a little too caustic for this. Especially given the fact that there are much easier methods than using lighter fluid to solve this. So just same rule applies here. Especially here on the back where we had some spillover. I left this because I wanted to show you why this stuff's so good. We're just gonna put a bit on here. You have to use a little bit more with this than you will with the marker type. Just because it's a little thicker of a material, a little bit harder to actually get off, but just gently wipe it away. I'll do a couple passes, because again, this stuff's pretty, well, it's going to stain your plastic, like I said before. But, yeah, I mean, something quick and dirty, that's not a bad option. Grab a couple more Q-tips. And yeah, you could probably do this sitting on a desk or something like that, but I wouldn't do it on your couch, given the fact that it's a viscous and kind of harsh liquid that you probably don't want to spill on your nice sofa. The nice thing with this is that, as you can see, you don't have to use it everywhere. You can just soak a Q-tip and just use that. And again, the advantage this has is it gets in some areas that normally would look kind of awkward with a pen. Some of these crevices here on the helmet. But again, just wipe it away. Looks pretty good though. Alright. Get this little bit right here and sometimes you want to strip it down to its bare components. Other times you'll want to leave the model assembled. I prefer to leave the model assembled. I just think it's easier. Gives me a little bit of something to hold on to while I'm doing the model. Now, of course, sorry to reach in front of y'all there. Okay. If you want a little more of a subtle look, obviously, the markers are going to do that. This stuff really sinks in and sets well. But really just depends on the look you're going for. I mean, the markers, they do a good job. I like the way the markers look myself. I'm getting so used to them because kind of lazy hobby cheats. So there is that. As you can see, there's quite a few options you can go with. And of course, you could always use the white eraser method. That works too. But I think this is going to be your safer option for using the pins. I would, of course, be careful if you're going to use something like lighter fluid. I wouldn't touch it again, personally, because it's just going to damage your plastic, make it super brittle, make it crack easier in the future. So keep that in mind when you pick a panel liner. Of course, picking a panel liner is always going to be the hard part of that, since, you know, depends on living conditions, what you're doing, what you're mostly panel lining. Top coating really isn't too much of a priority for the fill type because it's really sturdy. It's made of enamel. I would top coat with these, but you have to be careful because some top coats can fade super fast and sometimes give a milkiness depending on the brand. The one I found works the best is Mr. Hobby Super Clear Matte. I'll put an image up on the screen for you. I've used it for years. It's clear. It does perfect. There's no haziness, at least for me. Your mileage may vary though. And with the tamiya being so durable, there is that. I mean that if you don't want to top coat, you don't have to. Now if you're using decals, especially dry rub transfers like these, or water slides, you're going to always want to top coat. That's just the best practice. Now there are a few tool options too for panel lining your kits. Obviously this applies to the tamiya since that's more of a liquid, but Display Hobby Tools makes a panel lining tool, which is basically just a calligraphy pen. And a calligraphy pen will do the exact same thing. It'll be a lot cheaper than a dedicated tool. You can also use a small liner brush as well. That's going to be tedious, hard to clean up, kind of hard to control too. But if you want to use a calligraphy pen, it's going to, of course, save you a little bit of money. If you want to see the calligraphy pen in action though, I got a video right there for you. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something from this video and I was able to help you somehow. Let me know in the comments, and if you want more Gunpla and Plomo content, consider subscribing for more. Thanks everyone. I'll see you in the next one.